UFC is back down under Perth, Western Australia. Got a pretty stacked card, a lot of money to be made. Let's get into it. First fight of the night, we got Jingliang, the Leech, taking on Carlos Prates. So Jingliang is 19-8, that is 11-6 in the UFC. Prates is 19-6, that is 2-0 in the UFC, and both of his wins have come by knockout. The Leech has lost 3 of his last 5, and he hasn't fought in 2 years. Prates has won 9 in a row and 8 in a row by knockout. Leech is 36 years old. Prates will actually be turning 31 on fight night. So he's got that little birthday motivation. Maybe he shows out. We'll see. I'm going to take the over half around here. It's minus 310. Obviously going to parlay it. I'll get to that later. But 96% of the Leech's pro fights have hit the over half around. And only 76% of Prates pro fights have hit it, but I still like it to go a little long here. Leech is tough, never been knocked out before. Looking for anything else to take? How about Prates by finish? Still minus money, minus 125, so you'd have to parlay it. But 17 of his 19 wins have come by finish. Just mentioned Leech never been KO'd before, but he has been subbed twice. Looking for anything else to take? How about the Leech money line, man? He's a fat dog right now, plus 275. He's more experienced. He's got 17 UFC fights versus Prates 2 UFC fights. 2 of his last 3 losses came to ranked fighters, and Prates hasn't even fought anyone near the top 25 yet. Also, side note, Prates smokes cigarettes during camp, before his fights, all that shit. So that could be his downfall, man. Maybe his cardio. We haven't really seen him go past 2 rounds, so who knows. Next fight of the night, we got your boy Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa taking on Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rozenstruik. So Bam Bam is 14-7. That is 8-7 in the UFC. Biggie Boy is 14-5. That is 8-5 in the UFC. Tuivasa, unfortunately, has lost 4 in a row, all by finish. But all 4 losses did come to top 8 heavyweights. Rozenstruik has lost 3 of his last 5, but all 3 of his losses came to top 7 heavyweights. Tuivasa is still only 31 years old. Rozenstruik is 36. So I'm riding with Tuivasa here. He's plus 190. I don't have too much confidence in it, but he's got his back against the wall. He's lost 4 straight. Probably gets cut here if he loses again. He's going to be fighting in his home country. It's heavyweight. Anything could happen. Puncher's chance. 13 of his 14 wins have come by knockout. Biggie Boy's been knocked out before, twice. So there's a path here. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying the odds were too juicy. I had to take Tai Tuivasa money line here. Looking for anything else to take? Probably the most likely thing I'm seeing is Rozenstruik by KO, minus 160. You're going to have to parlay it. But 13 of his 14 wins have come by KO. And Tuivasa's been KO'd in 3 of his 7 career losses, including twice in his last 4 fights. Another thing, maybe you guys want to throw a dabble on this. The over 1.5, it's plus 170. Tuivasa's only hit it in 2 of his last 5, and only 6 of his 15 UFC fights have hit it. Rozenstruik has also only hit it in 2 of his last 5, and only 5 of his 13 UFC fights have hit it. So it's only 39% of their combined UFC fights, but it's plus money, plus 170. It's worth a flyer. I don't know. Next fight of the night, we got Mateusz Gamrot taking on the Hangman, Dan Hooker. Gamrot, he's 24-2 with 1 no contest. That is 7-2 in the UFC. Hooker is 23-12. That is 13-8 in the UFC, 3-4 at featherweight, 10-4 at lightweight. Way better record at lightweight. Gamrot has won 4 of his last 5. That lone loss did come to Beneil Dariush, who is currently ranked number 7. Hooker's won 3 of his last 5. One of those losses came to the champ, Islam Makhachev, and the other loss came to the number 5 ranked featherweight, Arnold Allen. Gamrot is 33 years old. Hooker is 34. I'm taking Gamrot here, money line, minus 278, adding it to a parlay, getting to it later. Dude, he's won 7 of his last 8. 4 of those wins came to ranked opponents, including number 1 ranked Arman Sarukian. It's a huge win. I know it was controversial, but still. Hooker's lost 4 of his last 7. All 4 of those losses came to ranked opponents, but only one of those wins came to a ranked opponent in Jalen Turner. Also, want to do a little MMA math. Gamrot also beat Jalen Turner. So, what's that win really worth? You guys are looking for anything else to take? Gamrot by decision is minus 150 if you want to add it to a parlay. Only 3 of his 7 wins have come by decision, but 11 of his 24 career wins have come by decision. Also, half of Hooker's career losses have come by decision. Something else to take, Gamrot by finish. Maybe you think he's going to get him out of there. That's plus 275. 13 of his 24 wins have come by finish, including 4 of his 7 UFC wins. And 6 of Hooker's 12 career losses have come by finish, including his last 3 losses. Maybe you guys are high on Dan Hooker, though. You want to take him money line, dude. Another fat dog plus 260. We just saw him grind out a comeback win versus Jalen Turner. He's only lost the top 5 guys at lightweight and featherweight in the last 5 years. And Gamrot's already lost a couple times in the UFC. So Hooker could maybe grind out a win here. Doubtful, but maybe. Co-main event, we got Kai Kara France taking on Steve Erceg. So KKF is 24-11 with 1 no contest. That is 7-4 in the UFC. Erceg is 12-2. That is 3-1 in the UFC. Kai Kara France has won 3 of his last 5, but he has lost 2 in a row. Erceg has won 4 of his last 5, but he is coming off a close decision loss to the champ, Alexandre Pantoja. So KKF is 31, Erceg 29. Both of them still pretty young. I'm going to take the over 2.5 rounds here. It's minus 250. I'm parlaying it with the over half a round in the Leach Prates fight and Gamrot money line. So all 3 of those legs together, plus 152. Love that parlay. Kai Kara has hit the over 2.5 in 8 of his 11 UFC fights, including 3 fights in a row. Erceg's hit it in 3 of his 4 UFC fights. Looking for anything else to take? How about Erceg by decision, plus 115? Only 4 of his 12 career wins have come by decision, but 2 of his 3 UFC wins have come by decision. Also, KKF has been finished before, but he's tough as hell. And I see this one being really competitive. So I like the decision prop a lot here, depending on which way you go. Speaking of which way you go, maybe you want to take a flyer on Kai Kara as the dog, plus 140. He's only lost to top 3 flyweights in his 11-fight UFC career. Erceg's only lost to the champ, but he's got less than half the UFC experience. We don't really know how he stacks up with everyone else. So it'll be interesting to see, man. Kai Kara could pull this out. How about fight end KO? It's plus 275. 11 of Kai Kara's 24 wins have come by KO, and he's been KO'd 3 times. Also, only 2 of Erceg's 12 wins have come by KO, but his last win against Matt Schnell, KO. Main event, we got the Battle of Africa, Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. So DDP's 21-2 and a very impressive 7-0 in the UFC. Izzy is 24-3. That is 13-3 in the UFC. So Dricus has won 9 in a row, and 7 of those have come by finish. Izzy's won 3 of his last 5, but he has lost 2 of his last 3. Granted, they were both title fights, but still. DDP is 30 years old. Izzy is 35, getting up there. I'm running with DDP here, man. Plus 114. I hate to say it. I'm a big Izzy fan, but there's just too many factors that make me lean DDP here. He's undefeated in the UFC. He's still only 30 years old. He's not great anywhere, but he's really good everywhere. Super well-rounded. If he can close the distance or keep it on the ground, he has ways to win. Izzy's lost 2 of his last 3, already mentioned. Also, if you want to do some MMA math, Dricus just beat Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland beat Izzy before that. Just saying it adds up. Nah, but I'm riding with DDP here, plus 114. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, I think the most likely other outcome, Izzy by decision, plus 200. 33% of his wins have come by decision, and 3 of his last 4 wins have come by decision. Dricus hasn't been finished in 6 years, and he did just go 5 rounds in a controversial decision with Sean Strickland. So, speaking of decision, over 4.5 rounds, plus 125. 8 of the 12 5-rounders that Izzy's been scheduled for in the UFC have hit the over 4.5. The only 5-rounder that DDP was scheduled for in the UFC, the aforementioned Sean Strickland fight, hit the over 4.5. How about fight end KO plus 110? 16 of Izzy's 24 wins have come by KO, including his last win. 9 of DDP's 21 wins have come by KO, including 4 of his 7 UFC wins. That is 56% combined.
I'm worth 100,000 like Woodrow. When a ball call me Wilson, going overboard at the Hilton.